Do you feel like managing your stress is another unrealistic to-do on the list from social media influencers? If one more person tells you to just manage your stress or lower your stress, you might scream. I get it. You're juggling a job, a household, and expectations stacked sky high. But what if the way you're thinking about stress is actually making it worse? This topic is so important. When we think about the uptick of reversible lifestyle diseases and the amount of women in their perimenopause and menopause years feeling trapped in their bodies, this is just so relevant. This phrase can sound really dismissive or feel like someone is blaming you. It's all your fault. We have to normalize this emotional reaction, especially for moms, entrepreneurs, and professionals who are in demand because you already feel maxed out. But the thing is, we don't need to be emotionally attached to our stress as if it's part of our identity. What I see so often is that women can get addicted to stress. And I know what you're thinking. What? No way. I'm speaking to you not only from what I see with my clients, but from my own personal life. Because there was a point where I thought there is absolutely no way for me to not be stressed. I have XYZ and all these things coming at me. And the reality is that stress is never going to go away. Absolutely correct about that. But your ability to handle it, your capacity to hold it is changeable. You can become more stress resilient, and there are real tools and techniques to help you do so. And you basically have to be if you really want to take the best care of your health, if you really want to be present and powerful as a woman in your perimenopausal or menopausal years. Because the stark truth is when we go into these years, we become less stress resilient because we're losing some of these buffer hormones that help us. There are perceived stressors versus actual events. Some stress isn't necessarily about what's happening. It's about how your body and brain respond to normal everyday events. You are being, quote unquote, triggered or cued, because it's literally a cue. It is a pattern that starts in the nervous system. Stress is like weight. Your nervous system is either strong enough to lift it or it's not. Without learning regulation, even good things like vacations or promotions can feel very overwhelming. I have to learn all these new things. Packing is ridiculous. I have to pack for my whole family. It's like the positive things in our life are still dragging us down. Your perceptions of stress and patterns of handling it in your body, which are literally survival patterns that have probably been with you for years, are exaggerating your hormonal highs and lows. So if you just say, I can't do XYZ because I'm this, well, first off, go listen to my last podcast about hacking your brain and be very cautious about the words you use. Your stress tolerance and your resilience can help you do what you really set out to do, the real needle movers. I have seen all sorts of clients over the years. I have worked with women who have been going through major stressors, having a family member, a close family member pass away, going through a divorce, single moms, working women with husbands who are not present. That's a whole stressor and a source of resentment itself. So if you find yourself fighting to justify your own stressors and fighting to keep the title of the most stressed and wearing that badge of, I just have to deal with this, whatever it is, honey, I really hope this makes you think for a second. Do you want to fight for your limitations or do you want to overcome them? Let's go into some really obvious signs you may be addicted to stress. You only feel productive when you're busy. Stillness feels lazy. You actually think it's impossible. Even if someone gave you space to slow down, that would make you anxious. You thrive in chaos and struggle with calm. You can crush a deadline or a crisis or trauma and drama, but peaceful days leave you feeling unsettled or even bored. You feel very guilty when having time to yourself. The moment you sit down, your brain starts scanning for something else to do because there's always something else to do. You start unnecessary tasks. You can't just sit. You will scroll. You'll clean. You'll overcommit, even when you're exhausted. You need intensity to feel alive. Now, maybe you don't think you do, but whether it's workouts, work, or drama, or TV, even what you're watching, you are chasing adrenaline to feel like yourself. You can't shut your brain off at night. If you wake up in the middle of the night, you're spiraling. So your body is tired, but your mind is spinning. You wear your burnout like a badge of honor, just telling people how crazy busy you are, secretly feeling very proud of it. You're reactive more often than responsive. Responsive behavior is thoughtful. It considers the broader context, while reactive behavior is immediate and often driven by emotion or instinct. So here's the loop. A cue happens and you get hit with adrenaline, which is an instant high. When you're stressed or in a go, go, go state, your body's releasing that adrenaline, your heart rate increases, you have boosted alertness, it sharpens your focus, incredibly helpful if you're tired and you have interrupted sleep. It feels energizing, even euphoric, especially for high-performing women or high-functioning women who associate this with productivity, usefulness, and worth. Then your cortisol has to kick in to get your adrenaline down. Yay for cortisol. We need it. Cortisol is helping your body in that fight or flight response by flooding your limbs with glucose so you can run if you need to run. But it inhibits insulin production, which can obviously lead to unexplained weight gain or difficulty losing weight if this is your normal state. This makes you feel on. It gives you a sense of being in control. You're wired until you crash. Over time, this can shift your body's baseline. So you need this buzz of stress just to feel normal. I had a conversation with a gal a couple weeks ago where she was like, I'm jittery all the time. I'm like, yeah, I get it. Your nervous system is stuck in overdrive. Like that hypervigilant state has become your new normal. And that is not where you need to be. That is not where you have to be. You can live your life, even with tons of stressors, able to switch between the different states of your nervous system. I won't go too deep into the nervous system right now, but just so you understand, we do need to get into that parasympathetic, which is the opposite of fight or flight, sympathetic, that parasympathetic state to rest, digest, restore, reproduce, and relate to others. So if you want to have great hormones, and if you don't want to have gut issues, you can see how getting into that parasympathetic state is essential. You want proper digestion, so you're not running into gut issues. You want to have your hormones working as much as they can be in perimenopause, so why shut it down with excess cortisol? There's something called the progesterone steal. And that basically means that the building blocks used for calming hormone, progesterone, your chill pill, is being used for cortisol instead. And your brain gets hooked because this gives you a dopamine hit. The urgency and pressure from stress can trigger small dopamine bursts, especially when tasks get done under pressure. Your brain starts to like the cycle. This is something, full transparency, I'm working on breaking. I had this conversation with my husband a little while ago where I realized I had a belief that I do things at the last minute. And you might too. If you ever in college waited until the last minute to write your paper that you had to turn in the next day or to study for the test, it's easy to get addicted to that thrill. And then later on in life, you're like, I don't want this anymore, but I don't know how to stop. So you have to change your relationship, not only with stress, but these habits. And as I said, you may want to go back and listen to the Hack Your Brain episode, but habit loops start with your identity. Habit loops associated with high functioning stress become your comfort zone. The body gets used to functioning in a sympathetic state, fight or flight, or functional freeze, which is when you have so much to do, but you feel like you can do nothing. And returning to rest and calm feels unfamiliar. Not only that, unsafe. Chronic exposure to high cortisol can make your body less sensitive to it over time, leading you to seek even more stimulation to feel the same drive. And the same thing happens with dopamine. So clearly, you know the problem then. What goes up must come down. And the addiction to stress hormones leads to the feeling of burnout, chronic fatigue, anxiety, irritability, sleep issues, weight gain, specifically around the midsection, and hormonal imbalances, like I said before, low progesterone, and often thyroid issues as well. Cortisol is your body's main stress hormone, and because it has such a huge impact on blood sugar, you have to consider how cortisol is going to work against you when it comes to preventing metabolic disease or lifestyle-related diseases. When cortisol is high and your body's in survival, your body's going to do everything it can to keep your blood sugar elevated so you have the quick energy you need. But that also means it tells your pancreas to stop making as much insulin and makes your liver dump more sugar into your bloodstream and makes your cells resist insulin so it stays in your blood instead of getting used, and it slows down hormones like GLP-1 that help insulin work better. And the drugs that all the ladies are talking about now to help you lose weight easier, they're GLP-1s. They're a synthetic form of a hormone that your body would otherwise make itself if you weren't so dang addicted to stress and if your gut was in a good place. It's also clear to see that when this becomes your normal, it can lead to insulin resistance. And that's when weight loss and energy and mood really suffer. So the bottom line here is you can eat perfectly and you can work out, but if your perception of stress is always high and your inbuilt stress resilience in terms of your nervous system capacity is low, your body won't be as responsive as you want it to. You have to build stress resilience. There's only so much you can do to control outside stressors. Now let's talk about if this pattern goes on for years, perhaps a lifetime, and then you're in perimenopause. So you've never built any kind of stress capacity. Estrogen, which is a protective hormone, and it makes you feel very capable. It supports serotonin and dopamine levels in the brain, which are two key mood-regulating neurotransmitters that help you to be more stable, is not doing as much as it could for you in terms of buffering cortisol spikes anymore. It just can't. It's going down. So now you're even more reactive to daily stressors. Estrogen helps to modulate the HPA axis, which controls the stress response. So you can see if estrogen is naturally declining, our stress resilience will as well. Estrogen also improves brain function, focus, memory, so you feel more in control of yourself, even when your life is out of control. Progesterone, as I said, is your chill pill, your anti-anxiety hormone. It is known for its calming effect. It interacts with GABA receptors in your brain, helping you to feel more centered. It counterbalances estrogen as well in terms of keeping cortisol from climbing too high, but progesterone starts to decline at 35. Progesterone also supports deep sleep, which is essential for recovery from stress and maintaining hormonal balance. So in short, when your hormones are in a healthy rhythm, way before menopause, your body's more adaptable. You bounce back faster. You feel less frazzled. You can mentally handle more without a full-on breakdown. But as these hormones decline with age or become imbalanced due to stress, undereating, or working out too intensely while you're already stressed, your capacity to handle stress drops. Then you will feel more tired, anxious, bloated, or just like you're surviving. So what can we do? Of course, let's get to the meat of this. What can we do here? Number one thing is nervous system regulation. And just to clarify, regulation does not mean that you are going to be zen all the time, that you are just that calm person that's never unfeathered. That is not what it means. It means that you are able to get back to middle ground, to a grounded, centered state faster. Or you can say to get back to baseline, because we need to go into fight or flight. It's a good thing. We should be able to go into fight or flight and then go into rest or digest, and we shouldn't live in one state way more than the other. So regulation just means that you can switch and you can get back to that centered place much faster. What used to send you off for a day or spiral you for a couple hours is like, well, dang it, and then you're over it in 3 minutes. So I'm not saying that you don't have a response to stress or bad things. Of course, I want you to feel your feelings and have the richness of fullness of life. You wouldn't appreciate the wonderful things without the challenging things. And that's just the nature of being human. It's just that when you get something incredibly stressful, you can bounce back much faster. Stabilizing your blood sugar and having rhythmic, predictable meals is going to be so helpful, because when you have massive blood sugar swings, that is a stressor. Strength training over cardio, with the exception of walking is wonderful, is going to help you in terms of being more stress resilient, because muscle helps you to handle cortisol. Make sure, because if you are stress addicted, you're going to want to jump around and be crazy during your workouts. You're going to want to, do Barry's boot camp and Peloton as hard as you can, because it feels good. You love that high. Remember, you're addicted. So to break that addiction, you just change the intensity for a little while until your body comes back to balance. One thing to quickly note, exercise is a stressor. Even though it's a good stressor, it still falls in the stress bucket. It's what we'd call a metabolic stressor. Undereating is a metabolic stressor. So it's still stressing your body, and all of the stress goes into the same bucket. Your body has to deal with all of it. So we want to be very mindful of how we take care of ourselves. You can't live in a perpetual diet. That's just slowing your metabolism down. That's no longer a diet. That's your new normal. Back to what helps. Replacing urgency with intentionality, creating margin, resisting overbooking yourself, adjusting your expectations. A lot of our suffering in life is because of us not managing our expectations, not opening our hands and letting certain things be what they are. Think of how much emotional toil you have caused yourself by being disappointed in something that you never shared your expectation with anyone else about. Next, we have to learn how to tolerate rest and slowness. And I'm not saying that you live in slowness. I'm saying that you deliberately find space to go slow so that you can go fast. Because regulated people, like I said, they go fast, but they also go slow. It's not about you being chill all the time. It's about you being a well-balanced person so that you can handle your life. So if this sounds familiar, you're probably not lazy, highly doubt it, probably not unmotivated. You might just be stuck in a stress loop that's wrecking your hormones, your energy, your dopamine and your drive, and your ability to be consistent. So instead of on the outside trying to manage everything alone, expand your stress tolerance, expand your stress capacity. Do some breath work, some vagus nerve activation, humming, singing. This is why worshiping is so amazing. Create boundaries and eliminate energy leaks, especially excessive screen time, excessive caffeine, not saying no. Reframe beliefs like I can't versus what would it look like if this were possible for me? You do not need a stress-free life. You need tools and the belief that you can handle it. You can regulate. You're not broken. You're just dysregulated. And we can work on that. One last thing. If you are catching this prior to 7 p.m. Eastern Time on June 11th, jump in to my masterclass. I will put the sign up in the show notes. I am so excited to share this information with you to help you have a breakthrough so that you can lose the weight that you've been carrying that you are not happy about. You can feel more calm, more present, more energetic and confident in who you are, especially if you are a woman in your late 30s and 40s. You are going into the best years of your life. I do not believe that the best years are behind us. I believe the best is yet to come. And I know that you can change your beliefs. So if you're not with me on that one, allow me to brainwash you a little bit and teach you how to become the woman you were called to be. You are an overcomer. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I know high-achieving women are tired of being told they just need to calm down. I'm so proud of you for listening, not just tuning me out, so you can learn it's just how your body's processing it. And a lot of this was ingrained in you way before you knew you had any control over it. Share this episode with a friend, and it would mean so much to me if you left a written review. Until next time.